Have you ever wondered where it all began? Not with dinosaurs, not with humans, but with the very first spark of life on our planet. Today, we're journeying back in time, billions of years, to a world you wouldn't even recognize. A world of fire, water, and chemical chaos, where the stage was being set for the greatest story ever told, the story of life. Our story starts about 4.5 billion years ago, with the formation of Earth. Back then, it was a hellish landscape. Volcanoes erupted constantly, spewing gases into the atmosphere, and asteroids and comets relentlessly bombarded the surface. It was hot, chaotic, and certainly not a place you'd want to build a summer home. But within this primordial violence, the essential ingredients for life were gathering. Water vapor released from the planet's interior condensed and fell as rain for millions of years, forming the first oceans. These weren't the clear blue oceans we know today. They were a murky, chemical-rich soup, a cocktail of elements and compounds delivered by comets and created by volcanic activity. Think of it as a planet-sized chemistry experiment, just waiting for the right spark. Scientists call this chemical-rich environment the primordial soup. It was brimming with simple organic molecules like amino acids and nucleotides, the fundamental building blocks of proteins and DNA. But how did these building blocks come together? That's one of the biggest questions in science. One popular theory is that deep-sea hydrothermal vents spewing hot, mineral-rich water from beneath the Earth's crust provided the perfect energy and chemical gradients. Imagine these vents as natural chemical reactors. It's concentrating these molecules and providing the energy needed to link them into longer, more complex chains. Another idea is that life might have started in shallow, warm ponds, where cycles of evaporation and rehydration could have concentrated the molecules and driven the necessary chemical reactions. It's even possible that key organic molecules were delivered to Earth from space, hitching a ride on meteorites. Regardless of the exact location, the next crucial step was the formation of polymers. Simple amino acids had to link up to form proteins, and nucleotides had to join forces to create RNA and DNA. This is a huge leap. It's like going from individual letters to entire sentences and paragraphs. One fascinating idea is the RNA world hypothesis. It suggests that RNA, not DNA, was the original genetic material. Why RNA? Because it's incredibly versatile. It can store genetic information like DNA, but it can also act as an enzyme, called a ribozyme, to catalyze chemical reactions, much like a protein. This dual-purpose molecule could have been the key player, capable of both storing the blueprint for life and carrying out the work needed to replicate itself. It was a self-sustaining system in its infancy. The next barrier to overcome was containment. Do you keep all these precious life-building molecules together and protect them from the harsh outside world? The answer came in the form of a membrane. Fatty molecules, or lipids, naturally form spheres in water. It's the same reason oil and water don't mix. These tiny bubbles, called protocells, could have trapped the replicating RNA and other molecules inside. This was a game changer. For the first time, there was a clear boundary between inside and outside, a defined self. The protocell provided a stable, controlled internal environment where the chemistry of life could proceed much more efficiently. It was the very first cell, a tiny, self-contained world. And with that, the first true life on Earth was born, around 3.8 to 4 billion years ago. These were not complex creatures. They were single-celled organisms, simpler than any bacteria we know today. We call them prokaryotes. They had no nucleus, no complex organelles, just genetic material floating within a simple cell wall. They were the ancestors of all life to come. For the next 2 billion years, these single-celled organisms were the only inhabitants of Earth. They were tiny, but their impact was colossal. These early life forms were likely anaerobes, meaning they didn't need oxygen to survive. In fact, oxygen was poisonous to them. They got their energy from chemical reactions, consuming the compounds available in their soupy environment. But then, a revolutionary innovation occurred. Around 3.5 billion years ago, some of these cells evolved a new trick: photosynthesis. By harnessing the power of sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, they could create their own food. We see evidence of these early photosynthesizers in fossilized structures called stromatolites. These are layered mounds of rock built up by colonies of cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. You can still find living stromatolites in a few places on Earth today, like Shark Bay in Australia, living fossils that provide a direct window into our planet's deep past. The evolution of photosynthesis had a profound and irreversible effect on our planet. As a byproduct of this process, these tiny bacteria started releasing a waste gas into the oceans and atmosphere. That waste gas was oxygen. For the existing anaerobic life, this was a catastrophe. The Great Oxidation Event, as it's called, was one of the first mass extinctions on Earth, wiping out countless species that couldn't cope with the new oxygen-rich environment. The world was being terraformed by its smallest inhabitants. But from this crisis came incredible opportunity. The rise of oxygen paved the way for a much more efficient way of life, aerobic respiration. Using oxygen to break down food releases far more energy than anaerobic methods. This energy surplus allowed for the evolution of more complex life forms. Around 2 billion years ago, a new type of cell emerged, the eukaryote. This was a major leap forward. Eukaryotic cells are much larger and more complex than prokaryotes. They have a nucleus to protect their DNA and various specialized compartments, called organelles, to carry out different functions. How did this happen? The leading theory is endosymbiosis. The idea is that a larger host cell engulfed a smaller bacterium, but instead of digesting it, formed a symbiotic relationship. A bacterium that could use oxygen to produce energy became the mitochondrion, the powerhouse of the cell. A photosynthetic bacterium that was engulfed became the chloroplast, the organelle that carries out photosynthesis in plant cells. So, the complex cells that make up you, me, every animal, plant, and fungus on Earth are actually ancient communities of cooperating cells. From this point on, the stage was set for an explosion of diversity. With complex eukaryotic cells now in the picture, life could experiment with new forms. The first multicellular organisms began to appear, evolving from single cells that decided to stick together after dividing. This cooperation allowed for specialization. Different cells could take on different jobs, leading to the development of tissues, organs, and eventually, the vast array of complex life we see today. So, when you look at the world around you, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, remember that it all started with a single, humble cell in a chemical-rich ocean billions of years ago. A tiny bubble of lipids enclosing a self-replicating strand of RNA, fighting for survival in a hostile world. That simple organism is the great-great-great, and many more greats, grandparent of us all. The history of life isn't just a series of random events. It's a testament to resilience, innovation, and the incredible power of evolution to turn a barren rock into a vibrant, living world. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back to the dawn of life. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the history of our amazing planet. Let me know in the comments what ancient mystery you'd like us to explore next. Till then, stay curious.